You need to go and do this like jump from one side to the other. And
Mhm.
sometimes you will fail and you will fall and it will hurt
Totally.
you. And
But the
most
but you
people
know
are trying to avoid that.
the failures, if the failures will, have a value as well, and sometimes a very powerful value. A lot of times the clients we'll work with, Anjana, I remember, she was somebody we worked with recently who she came from government politics, and she was kind of moving into a different area. She had a very toxic kind of break off at that last thing, and she was like, "Look, do I ignore it? Do I minimize it? And my advice working with her, and what she embodied there successfully was, look, um, it's a part of my history, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, look, not everyone's journey is going to be perfect. It's unreasonable to think about that. And look, a bad role can have tremendous value in helping you secure your next opportunity if you use it right. If you use that role like, let's say you're running a company, and in the times when I talk about that last company, right, or that last situation, it's clear that beyond the work that we were able to do, the reason that there was a split, right, and the reason why you can do something differently, the reason you can be the anti-Amazon or the anti-Sony right now, if you can look at it and say, this is an example of what not to do. This is an example of this process. When you go against Adi's process, when you try to sabotage her, when you try to limit her in terms of resources, this is the kind of crap that you get. And so if I look at that and I'm like, it's not just positive, positive, positive. I get to say, look, after this many years, a big part of the reason people will work with me is not because of the positive reviews. They'll actually look for that one critical review, because they'll look at that and they'll say, oh, that's the negative? Great, dude. I'll be the exact opposite of that. So you can use that if you allow yourself to say, hey, you know what? It's all right. I don't have to take this personally. What were the beginning things that we agreed upon when we started this role? What strategically were me and my people able to accomplish? What was the strategic split? What did they get wrong? And how does that refer back ideally to the pain that's going on here and a choice that can be made one way or the other? You're not forcing them to make a choice, but you are, as an expert, giving them a very clear choice, right? If I identify cancer in you and I give you a treatment plan, uh, it's up to you whether you want to do it. But if you work with me, you're doing that. And if you don't, it's all good. But there's no halfway point, because this is the best possible way that I know to keep you alive for you and your family, right? So there's no halfway here. If you're in with me, you're in. And I see people who are out there, they're so passionate about their work. And if they gave themselves a chance to sort of embody all of the stuff that they already have in a slightly different structure, I am very positive, because I've seen it. Their passion will be their magic. It'll be the thing that, instead of making them feel desperate or making them feel like they're, an outsider, certainly I feel that way, they can actually say, yeah, that's the light that makes you shine, man. That's the light that gives you, something that no one else has. I know, speaking to you in 30 seconds, you have this light and this vitality that I think at least some of it had to come from staring nothing in the face and still creating something out of that nothingness, or figuring out, hey, you know what, I don't know if this is going to work, I'm terrified, I might completely fall on my face, and then showing up anyway, and then realizing that, hey, you know what, I can find my way through this. I've got strengths that I didn't have, that it imprints itself, I think, on your spirit, and
Yeah.
that is priceless, truly.
Yeah, I totally agree what you're saying, and I could say it resonates with me because in many cases when I try something, and I have like 25 years of a career,
Hmm.
I failed. I've done lots of things that did not work. And I
Yes.
could say, okay, what does it say about me? Sometimes I'm so stupid. I'm doing like bad decisions. I don't know how to manage the business, whatever. Instead of doing that, I'm saying, okay, I learned this from this. From this
Yes.
experience, this is what I learned. Now
Yes.
going forward, I would not do the same mistake. I would do a different mistake, but that's
Hmm.
fine. At least I'm doing and I'm trying and I'm learning all the way, all the time. Instead of being like very strict with myself and being closed and saying, okay, that's what I can do.
Yes.
I've done something wrong, so I need to go back to this middle area and not try too much. And I
Hmm.
think that in many cases you see people so afraid of trying because
Yes.
nobody promises them anything. But
Yes.
who promises, even if they do promise you, what does it say? Like if you have a position within a full-time position in a very good company, who
Hmm.
promises that you'll enjoy it, you'll have good company, you'll have a good
Yes.
boss, it will stay as is, they will not fire you, you will not
Yes.
get bored? Like who promises you anything?
No,
People want to
you're
feel
right.
safe, but they're not.
You're right. We don't a thing that I think about exactly as to your point here. A lot of times I don't think that this story, all of our stories, they're being written, and a lot of times what we consider to be a failure, is just where enough time has not passed and we have not seen enough of our story to see the real role that that plays. My first novel, that came out back in 2014. At the time I was deeply in debt, and that was going to get me, my family out. Like that was financially going to save us because we were in desperate, desperate straits. Well, the book came out, got nice reviews, tanked, absolutely tanked in terms of sales. So I still remember looking at that computer, looking at the royalty. I made like less than $100, I think, on the month that it came out, and literally tears coming down my face and realizing, but also in that moment, this other part of me, right? This other part said, okay, Anish, fine.